Down to Business with Bobby Kerr. Thanks to Bord Gáis Energy. Thinking beyond when it comes to your business energy needs.
You're very welcome back to the programme. I'm Bobby Kerr. This is Down to Business. And we move on to the final part of our programme, which is a look at the week that was in business. I'm delighted to be rejoined by Peter Brennan, who did the papers with me earlier, the MD of EPS Consulting. And joining us on our panel now is Kevin Meaney from IDF Marketing. Good morning to you again, gentlemen.
Morning, Bobby.
Now, I'll go straight into our first story. Dear Bobby, I'm starting up a new business selling cupcakes, and I was wondering if you think that the use of social media sites are important for this new business. I personally don't have a Facebook page or a Twitter account, and I'm not very good with technology. I was considering ignoring social media altogether, but I'm worried I'll be missing out on some decent self-promotion. What are your thoughts? I was kind of shocked by this, that somebody would actually think that they could ignore the space. Kevin Meaney.
Yeah, absolutely, Bobby. Yeah, I think it's essential for SMEs to have an online presence, especially on social media marketing. For example, Facebook at the moment has 750 million active users with an average of 130 friends each. So it's a huge market out there. And 2 million of those accounts are actually based within Ireland itself. And Twitter has 200 million Twitter accounts. So it's for this particular business of cupcakes. There's a huge foodie market out there on Twitter. So it's very important to get out there.
Yeah.
Facebook itself can primarily be used as a B2C tool, so business to consumer. For example, we've got an ice cream client based here in Grafton Street that we use Facebook pages to promote their product. But it's a very viral system. So, for example, if you like the page, you're telling all your 170 friends that you like the page.
It's instant, it's quick, it moves fast. Peter Brennan, do you eat cupcakes?
No, but I think this letter applies to every business. I do eat cupcakes, but I won't admit to that on radio, certainly not on live radio. I'm working with a company called RealSim, and they do 3D simulation, and this is the way they're going to market. You have to use social media. Absolutely. You have to use Facebook, and you don't advertise in the papers. You use your contacts, and it spirals. A good news story goes like wildfire among the people who want to consume these products.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to sell, you have to look at Facebook marketing. Absolutely.
And I would suggest to the person who wrote in on this subject that effectively, if they don't feel competent around the technology piece, they get somebody involved who can do it. You know, give the job to somebody else.
There are plenty of training courses. Yeah. Chambers of Commerce, Dublin Chamber of Commerce, for example, is running training courses on using social media. So there's plenty of help out there.
We find a lot of our clients as well who are struggling with social media. We actually take them in and actually coach them so they can go off and then show their own
it's vitally important. Yeah. Okay, now we covered the Super Quinn story earlier on, but I just want to talk again just briefly about it. Just a business story for the week. So Super Quinn buyout may cost small firms 28 million. Hundreds of small businesses could be facing losses of around 28 million as Musgraves takes over control of Super Quinn. Musgrave and the receiver said they were not responsible for around the 28 million worth of stock supplied to Super Quinn, which was not insured against credit risk. ISME, farm groups, IFA and ICMSA claim many small suppliers would not have taken out insurance on credit. Musgrave is not taking on Super Quinn's debts, but is purchasing between 10 and 11 of their properties, its distribution centre and a head office building and the brand Super Quinn. Kevin Meaney, well, you weren't with us earlier, but what do you make of this story?
Yeah, to be honest, I was shocked to hear this about Super Quinn because it's such a strong brand, strong Irish brand, you know, and I've totally empathised with suppliers and of course the employees at this moment's time. I've been doing a lot of coverage through social media and seeing what the consumers' view was on the topic, and there is a lot of support there for the actual brand. So they're kind of one tweet says, "In Super Quinn now shopping, supporting them and their suppliers. Keep buying, see if we can get through this mess." So that's a lot of the viewpoint of a lot of consumers out there.
And there's two texts in here which I'll just read out. Super Quinn, Bobby, will jobs be lost in the companies left unpaid by Super Quinn? Do these jobs matter too? Another text for Super Quinn. Super Quinn will inevitably lose jobs. The status quo will not remain. Running costs are too high. And that's from Ken. Peter, we talked about it earlier. Your views obviously haven't changed. Where next from here?
Well, as I said earlier on, I think the best thing that can happen is the Competition Authority can fast track their view on this deal. So get it, Musgraves, into where they want to be, and suppliers supplying Musgraves as quickly as possible. I think the uncertainty that will arise if there's protracted court cases doesn't do Superquin or anyone in this space, particularly suppliers. 2,800
jobs, all the suppliers, absolutely not.
You do not want, in the current climate, long uncertainty, which is going through the High Court. Doesn't help anyone.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there on that subject, and I'm going to go on to a technology-based story. Apple shares go up. Apple revenues and profits have hit record highs as sales of iPhones and iPads increased. The company's profit has more than doubled to $5 billion on sales. They are now said to be focusing on developing the iCloud. The company sold 20.34 million iPhones and 9.2 million iPad tablets, computers boosted by demand in Asia. Sales of its Mac computers are also 14% to 3.95 million. It's a fascinating story. Apple seem to be dominating the market when it comes to cool and cult items. Do either of you have an iPhone or an iPad? Yeah. Peter Brennan is waving his around the studio. Yeah. And you'll see me using one as well, even though...
I bought my iPad in Belfast 2 weeks ago, and the reason I bought it in Belfast, I couldn't get one here.
Is that right?
They told me that the production plant in China that makes these iPads burnt down about 2 to 3 months ago, and they're very scarce. But it's a godsend for somebody like myself who travels a lot on business. You're really, it's a fabulous facility.
Yeah.
But if any word for Apple, I really do hope when they're building the next iPhone that they improve the battery life. The battery life of the current phone is bordering on dreadful.
Yeah, I generally get most of the day, but by the time I arrive home I generally have to give it a boost.
It depends how much talking you're doing during the day, Bobby.
Yeah.
Just also, Bobby, just on Apple's growth, actually it's a great positive impact for us here as well, because Analog Devices in Limerick actually just announced 100 new jobs, but they're actually a supplier of Apple. They create devices for Apple, but the growth of the sales for iPhone, iPad is actually pushing on the tech industry, which is having a positive effect on local businesses.
No, it's and all the spin off on Apple and Cork and everything.
Ericsson as well, actually. Yeah.
The Steve Jobs recent cancer. Now he's been sort of a pivotal force at the helm of Apple for God knows. Well, I think he was there in the beginning. He went away. He came back again. It's probably more than one guy at this stage. It's a machine. Well, would you think his absence will be noticed?
Apple is very, very innovative company, and innovators are throughout the organisation. Obviously, they have a very gifted CEO, but the company over the last 20 years, and I'm a big Apple fan and have been for a long time, have produced these fabulous products. I mean, and they continue to do so, and they're beating the competitors as a consequence of being very, very clever and smart about the way they produce their new technologies. You're going to have your television on the iPad within, I'd say, a year or two. That's the way it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll quickly cover this last story, which is IL&P shareholders reject plan, and we saw a big circus about this during the week. Shareholders in IL&P have rejected plans to inject state funds into the company. They voted down all 3 company resolutions to accept a government bailout of $3.8 million. Minister for Finance Michael Newnham's spokesman said he remains committed to recapitalising IL&P to the levels set by the central bank. Peter, what do you think about this? Do they get the money whether they want it or not?
Well, I think during the week, Simon Carswell in the Irish Times said the debate is academic. Unfortunately, the stress tests require the government to put capital into Irish Life and Permanent, and unless a Bank of Ireland solution emerges, unless they can find a major investor, unfortunately it's going to be nationalised. That is not in everyone's interest, but that's the way it's going, it would appear.
Totally empathise with the shareholders, because that pretty much means that their stake will be wiped out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Which, there's a lot of bad news stories this week for shareholders, but that's one of them.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much for coming in to me, lads. Enjoy the chat.
Thanks, Bobby.
If you've got any business queries, please email them to me at downtobusiness@newstalk.ie or bobby@newstalk.ie. And join us again, same time next week. And that's all we've got time for. From producer Deirdre King, thanks to Jessica Kelly for putting us on air, and for Alan on sound. Stay tuned for Ger Gilroy, who's standing in for Eamon Dunphy. Back next week.